fellas, welcome in to episode 17 or episode 7 of season 2. We're trucking along with
Does
these
that get
episodes.
confusing to anyone except me?
I can tell you from the person that produces the show and does all the edits, I always get confused and I accidentally mislabel things quite a bit. But
well, you could keep the 7 in line. I like the season and 10, even though we're not going to stick 10 episodes specifically each season.
You know, we're trying to let people know how many's in the series. And then, hey, different seasons, different things. You never know. So, but we were trucking along, and we are in the final days of 2025. Can y'all believe that?
Man.
Or in 2024.
2020. Oh, my goodness. See,
he's already thinking
You're
about
already ready
next
for
year.
2025.
I got my strategic plan. I'm ready to go. I'm focused on 2025. So we're in the final days of 2025.
I think that, Adam, it sounded more like I'm kind of done with 2024. I'm ready for 2025. That's what it sounded like.
I don't feel like I am. I feel like it was a good year. There's a lot of, lot of, I know Benji's going to talk a little bit about this past year, but, a lot of changes, job changes. It was kind of different for us, and lifestyle changes. It's been, I felt like 2024 was good. A lot of
for
growth,
sure.
a
Yeah.
lot of fun. So,
well, it's funny. You look at it. But when this releases, we're only about 2 or 3 days away from 2025, January 1st. And you sit back and you go, what happened 25 years ago? Can you really think back that far? Okay, I was 20 years old at the time, and everybody was talking about, do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to.
The big topic?
Oh, yeah.
Brady
I know
knows
what it
how
was.
bad I am at math. My wife right now is probably listening.
It started with a Y.
I'm like, if I
Y
Had a 2.
2K. Everyone was talking about what's going to happen. We're in 1999. Is the computers actually going to flip to the year 2000? I had a buddy of mine telling me, I'm a part of a workout group called F3, and he was telling me at coffee the other morning, he said, I was actually in New York City for the ball drop, which, by the way, I don't ever want to have to be in that crowd by any means. But he said, I was actually in the crowd for that, and people were thinking, is the world about to come to an end? Are these screens actually just going to go off in Times Square? And is the ball actually going to drop? And here we go at midnight, business as usual. Like it just continues to go.
It's just crazy to think about.
It is. I mean, people stock Brady, we stocked our storage room full of canned goods,
Not knowing what was going to happen.
It's because again, the world was shutting down. And you think about that, I'm sure you guys are like me. The older I get, the shorter the years seem to get each year. Whereas you started out January, you're like, man, December looks like so far away. And then you look back and you go, where in the world how did we get through the rest of the 11 months of the year? So I'm sure you guys are the same way.
I mean, look, you two are the older guys, right? I'm the young in here. I was only 15 when that happened. So I did use my calculator to do the math because I'm just terrible at math. So my wife's, again, is probably laughing, but I was only 15. I didn't have a care in the world. I was just happy that I was getting ready to drive.
Yeah. I could see that for sure. You look back and you go, okay, every year people, and we're gonna bring this back to business here in a second, but every year, what happens in January? What are people doing? What are they doing? They're setting New Year resolutions, right?
Well, yep. I'm hoping in 2025, Brady fixes his setup. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, now, don't be hating on the setup.
For our listeners, we're going to steer away from it for a minute. But for our listeners, if you go to our YouTube, you're going to see a phenomenal picture.
Check out this photo. This photo
the setup that Brady has. And for those that don't go and look, he's got it stacked on, it looks like 4 manila envelopes.
And one of them said confidential, it appears on there.
There's also a Mac Mini box.
Yeah.
Sitting there as well.
For all you Apple fans out there, if you haven't seen the brand new Mac Minis, they are much smaller. Check out Brady's setup because you'll see the box size is much smaller.
I've got a box I will sell you.
Oh my
hey, Adam,
God.
it just shows that I'm very resourceful. Okay,
You're resourceful and you're dedicated.
I'll make it happen. Make it happen.
So, but yeah, there's and especially, do you guys have any resolutions? Have y'all thought about that? Like anything?
I mean, for me personally, I'm not a huge resolution fan. I mean,
me either.
I've done some over the years, and it seems like the ones that I've done, I just hadn't really stuck to. So, I mean, I'm all about, and we're actually going to talk about, I think on the next episode of or one of the episodes coming up about, we're going to dive deep into goal setting.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's really near and dear to my heart because, Zig Ziglar says that if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time.
Yep.
But I've heard some people talk about, resolutions or maybe just starting out the year with something like a new habit. And if you can do a new habit, and I don't know about you guys, but, when I do something, I go all in. And let's say I want to lose a bunch of weight or something like that, and I get 3 weeks into it, and then it's like, man, this is hard to do, and I've got to make this a long-term thing, and where I'm counting the calories and I'm working out every day and I'm doing like 5 different things in order to get result on one thing. Maybe I should have backed up a little bit and said, well, let me just do this one habit and get that really good. And then once I get that down, let me do the next habit and make that really good. And if I see like a progressive thing, then I think that helps out, a little bit better instead of trying to go all in with 8 different things and we're just going to, bust it and it never worked out. It's never worked out for me.
Well, only people knew how true that statement was about diving into things for people that haven't worked for you before.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's true though. You think about it, because again, we're all guilty of it. We try to focus on too many things at once, and you really can't do that. Even if it's in your personal life, spiritual life, professional life, whatever. So I had to go do some research, guys, and figure out like what was the top 10 things. You can research this yourself, top 10 habits. And I thought we'd do it like they do on Saturday night and like drive it from 10 to 1. So here they are. All right, drum roll, please.
Do we have some music going?
Adam? I don't have any. I'll have to add some in post. I'll be like, here's a drum roll.
I love it. Here's the drum roll. Here's the drum roll. Number 10, people want to read more. Number 9, people want to travel more. Number 8, people want to spend more time with their family and friends.
I'm there for that one.
Number 7 is quit smoking. Number 6 is to save more money, or they want to spend less money. Could be either way.
Good.
Number 5, live life to the fullest. Now, I'm going to stop here a second. What does that mean? I mean,
I have no idea what that means.
To the fullest.
I would think it means living life without saying no.
I guess it could be. But I was like, does that mean people travel? Are they going to read more? Are they going to travel more? It's kind of like really, really interesting. Number 4, learn a new skill or hobby.
That's a good one. I like that one.
I didn't, honestly, I would have never thought that would have been a top 10. Number 3, this one was interesting. Get organized.
I'm already there.
That's going to be on my 9-year-old daughter's list.
I don't need to make that a resolution.
We've already confirmed that our daughter will be that roommate that you don't want because she doesn't clean up after herself.
You got to start teaching the habits now, Adam.
Yeah.
Resolution.
Healthy habits.
That's going to be her. I'm going to put that on the top of her list for 2025.
Number 2, Brady just talked about it. Lose weight.
Yep.
That's number 2. And number 1, people want to exercise more.
Which is funny because 1 and 2 technically
they do
need to go hand in hand.
They tie together. So we brought this up a minute ago. Okay, you got the top 10. That's what people want to do, and that's really more with your personal life more than anything. But we talk about all the time. Professional goals are driven by personal goals. So if you set your personal goals, it helps you get where you want to go. You do things better, whatever. So I did this. Study showed, I looked this up, that 46% of people will actually follow through. I thought that was pretty high, honestly. I thought it would be a lot
for
less.
losing weight and exercising, there's no way. Because January, February,
no way.
And then like March hits and it's done.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. I thought 46 was too high, but
a lot of gym memberships though.
Hey, that's exactly. I heard of somebody say a long time ago that Planning Center, their biggest competition, you know who it is?
Planet Fitness.
I'm actually interested. I have no idea. For those who don't know, Planning Center is basically what any churches use to schedule who's serving their team.
So I meant planning. Planet Fitness. Sorry, planning.
Planet
Fitness.
Okay.
I'm thinking Planning Center in my mind for you church goers out there.
Has competition, but
Planet Fitness. Sorry, Planet Fitness.
Adam and I were going with it.
I was hooked.
Maybe I threw you for a loop. No, I'm just kidding. That was a total FUBU on my part. Planet Fitness, biggest competitor
would be.
I only know because you told me the other day.
Crunch Fitness.
That's a good guess.
Peloton.
No. It's actually not. It's the sofa. No joke. It is the sofa. I had a guy who owns 25 Planet Fitness stores tell me. I met him last year on a trip. He said that their biggest competition is the sofa, and the reason why is because people pay that monthly fee and they never show up. They just stay on the sofa.
I had a buddy that worked in a very similar industry, like one of the gyms, where at the Y, Golds, it's like 50, 60, it can be $80 a month, right, for family. Well, Crunch is much cheaper, or Planet Fitness. I had a buddy of mine that worked for one very similar, and he said it's their business model. He said, do you know what it would be like if every member showed up, even variety of times throughout the day on one day a week? He said we'd be overloaded. Like
they would.
Yeah. So they depend on the set it and forget it mentality.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know what the average percent of people that pay the fee actually show up.
How long they've been paying it.
Yeah. So again, studies show 46% of people follow through. That means that 54% of people actually fail.
Well, that's a terrible word to use.
Yeah. I was actually going to change that. That 54% of people don't follow through. How about that?
Don't follow through.
I
think that's a better way to say it. Yeah.
Sorry to our listeners. I'm just very honest.
It's actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Think about this in your business. Okay, what would your top 10 things be? Now, Brady and I, we just did our team strategic planning a few weeks ago, and we've got a lot of good things. We believe that 10 things, especially per division, is probably way too many things to focus on at one time. But the old saying says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So we'll change it up. If you fail to plan, you plan not to succeed. How about that?
I do have to ask, is the strategic planning book, and by book, from our listeners, I want to say it was a book last year. Is it shorter this year?
It's negative.
Longer. It's actually longer, but there's going to be a
short form.
What do you call it? Like an abridged version or a
abbreviated?
Short version. Abbreviated. There you go.
And then we're gonna have we're gonna also have like a one pager with the top hot topics on it. Just keep that in front of us all the time.
Yeah. That's good. Well, I think that gives you. I mean, right? Like, here's your top things that you're working on as a company, right? Like, hey, and a lot of times I would assume a lot of those affect the other divisions. You would say, hey, this is something that we go through, but then every division has something that they need to work and be better on, because they all have different teams.
Well, I think, Benji, Adam, before we kind of get to looking at strategic planning, because we really believe in strategic planning, I want to give you guys a formula this morning, okay? And I think it's something that we probably need to do. This is good in business, or it's actually good in personal. But I learned this from C12. And before we get into strategic planning is we want to do 4 things, okay? Number 1 is we look up. Okay, Bible says, I lift my eyes into the hills. Where did my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, right? So we want to, if you're a Christian, then you want to look up and see what is the Lord saying that either me personally I need to be thinking about for next year or the next season in life or whatever that looks like. And then for our business, like what does he want to do with our business? So that's number 1. Number 2 is you want to look back. All right. And in fact, we're going to be doing this in a couple weeks with our team as, yes, we have already done strategic planning for 2025. But what we want to do is take 2024's plan and really sit down. We're going to be spending about 3 hours and looking at, okay, what are the things that we had, the objectives we had for last year, and how did we actually do? Now, we've been reviewing it throughout the year, and we've talked about that a couple times. But what did we actually do? Did we accomplish any of it? So if you guys have ever heard of like the red, yellow, green exercise, red, we're going to be looking at every objective. And red, we didn't do anything with it, nothing about it. Yellow, we did it, but we didn't measure it. And then green is we actually did something about it, and we were able to measure it. And not necessarily accomplish. I mean, there are some things that we will accomplish or have accomplished, but it's more about how focused, we talk about focus, how focused were we? So that's number 2, look back. Number 3 is look around. Look at the environment. Look at the things that are going on around us. Benji talked about 2020, Y2K. I mean, what are some of the things that's happened since then? 2020, we didn't have the iPhone.
Yeah.
Didn't even know that it existed.
Talking about 2000.
In 2000, I'm sorry. Yeah. It's hard to go back 25 years.
I thought he was about to talk about COVID.
Well, I mean, we didn't
one.
have the iPhone. We didn't know about COVID. Even if you think back 5 years, so that's 2019. do you guys remember what you were doing in December of 2019?
I had just had a baby. Well, I didn't have a baby. My wife had a baby.
You didn't, right?
Yes.
But I mean, we didn't know that at that point in time. Then in a couple months, the world was going to shut down.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can think through these things. You look around and because we had to make some adjustments in 2020 because of the world that was around us. Now we had a plan, but we had to adjust that plan.
Yeah.
So you look around, look at the environment, look at what's going on. That helps you set, and then you look ahead. And so you can't really, I don't think you can look ahead until you've looked up, you've looked back, you've looked around, and then you can look forward. But there's some work, and I know a lot of people, a lot of leaders actually do this in December. Some of them will actually take a sabbatical, and they'll go away and just reflect on, okay, what were the things that I did this year? I know John Maxwell, I think he takes like a whole week, and he'll just pull out like every page of his notebook, and he'll start looking through and, okay, what were the themes throughout this year, and what do I need to be focused on for next year?
Yeah.
That's good. That's
very good.
You know, it's a great point, Brady, because I think a lot of people, they take their strategic plan, and we've been guilty of this in the past. You put all the work into making your plan, and then you put it in a booklet or have it on your computer, and you never open it again. No. And, you know, sometimes it can sit there and just collect dust, or, you know, maybe it gets put in a file again on your computer and you don't even know where it went, you know, so they don't keep it front and focused of them every month, every quarter throughout the year. And so I guess the real question is, you've done the work with this plan. Okay. How are you going to execute your plan? Well, it's day to day. I mean, you have to put in the day-to-day work to make it happen. Our dad always told us we had the 7 P's of success. I'm going to let Brady quote it because I know it, but he knows it. Adam, do you know it, Adam? Have you heard it before?
I do, but you say it's, and I'm trying not to look at it.
Adam, I'm so disappointed right now because you should have known this.
I know it's prior proper planning prevents.
Yep.
You're there. Come on.
Pitiful.
Yep.
That's where I get to. And that was without looking at the notes. I knew we were going to talk about it. I knew that.
It's prior proper planning prevents pitiful poor performance.
Yeah, I'm sure he learned that on some Maxwell
and that's the cleaned up version, by the way.
Yeah. I was going to say, but you also
our dad had the cleaned up version. There's other people that they inserted a different word. What is it?
How much can I pay to get you to share what that other version is?
No, not doing it.
You can't. So that's the thing is, prior proper planning prevents pitiful poor performance. So if you plan properly, all right, and you do it prior, you're going to prevent the outcome of potentially not being successful. So that's why a strategic plan is not just the importance of putting the plan together. You got to execute the plan to the best of your ability. So as you start out 2025, listeners, think about this. You've got your plan. Now start with one goal. Brady, talk about just for a second what we've done to not have 10 goals out there to just make it a shotgun approach, how we dialed it back and how we're going to focus on that.
Yeah, so for us, we've got each leader in our division leaders that have come up with 1 or 2 goals per division. So they're going to start out the year with 1 or 2 things that they're going to focus on, and that's it. And they may have 4 or 5, or 10. Wish list. Yep. Grass catcher, whatever you want to call it. But they're not going to be focused on that. They're going to focus on the 2. And then it could take them a quarter, could take them 6 months, could take them all year to do those 2. And then when they get the 2, they've got others to choose from, but that's what they're going to start out with. And Benji, I'll just share, what another formula and what we're actually, we started this year a little bit, and we're really going to focus more on this next year. But our formula is through a book of how we're going to execute our strategic plan. And so book recommendation, Patrick Lencioni, Death by Meeting. And if you'll be happy. I actually downloaded it. I'm getting ready to read it. All right.
Audio book. No,
Brady,
it's not audio book. It's an iPad book. It's the actual.
Brady yelled at me about reading it.
It's the actual iPad
have you read it yet,
version.
No.
But it's really good. And here's the formula. Okay. Now it talks about number 1's a daily huddle. A lot of teams do a daily huddle. Us as leadership team, we really can't do that one every single day. But their teams do with 5-10 minutes. But the key is what's called a weekly tactical. All right. So we meet every week, 2 hours, weekly tactical. and we go through the top things that are happening in each of the leaders' world and their next steps to what they're trying to accomplish with each of those top things. Those top things speak to the objectives that they have in their division. So that's weekly tactical. Then we do a monthly strategic, and the book outlines all this. It'll give you the formula, but the monthly strategic are items or topics, issues, challenges that came up during the weekly tactical that we'll spend once a month in place of the weekly tactical. Instead of 2 hours, it'll be 3 hours, and we'll take 2 to 3 topics and just really dive in, and we do something. If you guys are familiar with EOS, which is the Entrepreneurial Operating System, they have a process called IDS. And so IDS is identify the issue, discuss the issue, and then solve the issue. And that's what we'll do in monthly strategic. But what we want to do is we want to get to the solve. A lot of times what teams can do is they can just talk about the issue.
They call it
and
professional.
Not really
they're professional arguing.
Professional arguing. And so, another thing our dad used to say, he said, look, when we got into those situations, he says, guys, there's an old Chinese proverb that said, when the horse is dead, you dismount. Okay? So get off the horse is dead. Let's get to solving the issue. So that's what we do during the monthly strategic. Then we do a quarterly offsite. So we'll take at the beginning of the quarter, so like in beginning of April, our team will go offsite somewhere, and we'll take and look at the metrics and the KPIs and all the things, like how do we do for the quarter. And then the book really doesn't talk about strategic planning, but that we do strategic planning as well. So the daily huddle, the weekly tactical, the monthly strategic, the quarterly offsite, and the yearly strategic planning. But the book is great. A lot of his books he writes in like a fiction type format before he gives you the practical stuff. So it's really good. But that's something that we've done this year, and our team is really committed to next year really following that formula.
Yeah,
we've already got the date set too.
And we'll make sure to put these notes kind of in the YouTube channel for you to have. But if you need something in any of the platforms, Apple, Spotify, even on our website, you can push the button that says send us a text. It'll send us a notification. If you need help with something like that, we'd be more than willing to, share that with you, no problem. So don't forget you've got that as an option. Just click the button, send us a text, fill out the little thing, and it'll send it in. But that's good, Brady, is you gotta have that plan. Start with the goal. And just to give an example, you can have a goal of something like maybe you want to increase in 15% in sales or be 20%, net profit in your business. But the key is, how are you going to get there? Anyone can say that they're going to have that, well, this year we want to set 15% sales goal, wipe our hands clean and call it a day. Well, what are we going to do? What steps are we going to put in place with our team to make sure we get there? Or how are we going to control costs better and get to that 20%? That's where your strategic plan comes into place. Okay.
And next episode, Benji, we'll dive into goal setting.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about personal goals. We're going to talk about professional goals. We're going to talk about how to make them smart, how to make them fast, how to really set the objectives and what are we going to do. And then maybe live on the podcast, Adam will give us his goals 2025.
Oh gosh.
Absolutely.
That's the goal.
They'll be smart too. They'll be smart. The second one here,
and he's got to read the book.
And I want to encourage you as a key takeaway number 2, okay? Employee, if you're listening to this episode, figure out how you can help your employer, because at the end of the day, it can only help you. If you take the strategic initiatives that your employer and director, management team, enterprise team, whatever you call those folks, executive team, they can help you, but you can help them, because by helping them, there becomes growth opportunities for you. As your company grows and such, you can take it to the next level. And then as we kind of wrap this episode up, the biggest key here is, if you have a goal, write it down. You've got to make sure you write it down, because too many times we spit stuff out in the air. We have a term, we like to throw spaghetti on the wall and see if it sticks. You've got to write it down. If you don't write it down, there's an old saying out there, if it's not written down, it didn't happen, because you can't remember it. Your mind's not going to remember it. But if you physically see yourself writing it down, then you will remember it.
Adam, Benji, and I were in a meeting a couple of days ago, and I was using that spaghetti on the wall a couple of times, and one of the guys said, "You got to stop. It's like 10:30, and I'm already getting hungry."
He did. He said, "I'm getting hungry. That pasta sounds really good right now."
But it's true though. I mean, that was something we had to figure out because how often we were like, just throw it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm like, that's just not a great strategy because again, it goes back to some of our episodes. You're hoping it sticks, right? And that hope's not a good strategy.
Hope is not a good strategy at all. And so as we wrap up the episode, just to kind of recap on the key takeaways, okay? Plan. Start with a goal. Maybe, again, you want to increase in sales or net profit, whatever that is. Make sure you come up with a plan to get there. Second thing, help your employer because employee, it can only help you. You will have growth opportunities. And then thirdly, take those goals and write them down. If you write them down, you can be successful. Well, again, as we close out 2024, we just want to say it's been a fantastic year at Higher Up Podcast. Very thankful to have Brady on the show with us and Adam to help us get this produced. But we're so thankful for you listeners out there. Again, you can listen to us Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We're on every platform. Go to higheruppodcast.com/subscribe. You can do that. And don't forget to send us a text if you have a question. But again, great end of the year. Looking forward to 2025. If you have a topic you'd like us to do, hit that send us a text button. We'd love to put that on an episode. We actually one of the episodes we recorded a few weeks ago was from a topic someone had brought up. So we will do that for you. Okay. So again,
send us some on social media. I mean, we manage that as a team, so we see those things come through. We see those questions. If we have a question come through, I'm gonna send it over to Benji and Brady and say, "Hey guys, here's a topic. What do y'all want to do?" So just know we do monitor that and see that. So I mean, any of those things you can do and sharing it helps. Every bit of it helps, right?
Every bit helps. Yeah. So y'all have a great close to your 2024. Again, looking for big things 2025. See you guys next time.